Hello, people of the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today, slower bit on the release schedule compared to yesterday. Having said that, we do have quite a big one today. VVG 3/6 of former G Friend are back with their latest comeback following their Love Aid era, right after Queendom, their appearance on Queendom 2, and what has it been now, 6 months or so? We have yet again a mini album from them as well as their title track, Pull Up. Now, I don't know what this is going to be like, and frankly, this could be a very big comeback for VBG in terms of feature momentum, because this is, well, they're entering their second year now. During their first year, they had Bop Bop and the Beam Prism era. They had the Love Aid era. They were on Queendom 2. They had their, I think they had a smattering of singles. Like they had the Universe single, which we checked out in like November or like late October. But this will be a new year for them, new era for them, and frankly, this could be kind of what seals the deal with them as a group. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Now, before we start, for those of you who have been around for a little bit, you know that I'm not one to kind of freak out over visuals. Don't get me wrong, I quite enjoy watching other people freak out over like the members' visuals. It's just not in my personality to do so. Having said that, oh my goodness, the concept pictures the three have just been like posting constantly on social media over the past week and a half has been a problem for me. It's like especially with Umji, it's like for me, I'm still kind of in that mindset of that she is that like cutesy brainy maknae with the kind of like not like Cheshire Cat grin, but like kind of the awkward like plotting grin that she does. And I think it's reached a point where it's like the maknae glow up age, where a lot of like third gen and like early fourth gen maknaes have had this massive glow up. Like I'm thinking the likes of like Yojin from Idalso, like Yeri from Red Velvet, uh, and now Umji. But yes, that's the point. I'm ready for some music. Is it going to be what I think it's going to sound like? I don't know. I'm getting the same impressions that I did when Fingertip dropped for G-Friend back in the day. But I don't know if it's going to be the similar sound or if it's just like a visual thing, but we'll find out. 3, 2, 1. No captions as of yet. Ooh. I'm gonna miss Bob Cut, but she rocks the long hair as well too. Ooh, it's like synthy, but also jazzy chords a little bit. A little bit of an anti-drop-ish as well. It's very minimal chorus in terms of instrumentals. A little bit of a brassy post-chorus. Okay. Ooh. Isolate MG's vocals leading into the second verse. Okay. Apart from like the occasional like little high note runs that we're getting, the song is fairly low in terms of like the musical register for them at least. It's like a comfortable lower chest voice. Nice half step ascent in that synth part there. Oh. I quite like this like offset of putting the rap verse over the really busy brass section. We'll talk about it a little bit more in a second, but you know, it kind of does feel like how I felt when I listened to Fingertipped for the first time. It's visually, like, based off of the visual concept, it was going to be something a little bit less bright than the likes of Love 8 and Bop Bop, which I think is safe to say this song was to an extent. I wasn't expecting this direction though. I think I was expecting more of like a real your like prototypical girl crush concept. And while there were traces of that, this one's kind of hard to describe because it's not cut and dry like I thought it was going to be. The song's kind of a bop though. Like disregarding the pun, as many puns as I can make about their title track being from their debut album being called Bop Bop, and every single song title they've produced since has been a bop. No, we're not gonna go that route, even though I just did. This one's very interesting because it's taking a few concepts of like the K-pop genre in its current stage right now that I kind of have mixed opinions about sometimes, but I don't really have a problem with any of it. Let me explain. So, I'm not the biggest fan of anti-drops. I don't hate them per se. I just know the vocal talent that VIVIZ have, and I just kind of wish that we got something to support this, like support their vocal prowess when it comes to the chorus sections. But then you listen to the entire thing, including the post-chorus and the little like brassy section, and then it kind of makes sense why it's there. Like we'll go back to it. Actually, we'll go back a little bit further. We'll cut it there for now, but in terms of the instrumental, this is as anti-drop as you're probably ever going to get from this group. Having said that, it doesn't feel too much like an anti-drop because it's their like melodic vocal line. Ooh, I know how to speak words today. Their melodic vocal line that's carrying the entire song. Sure, you've got the you got that like almost like funky isolated bass in the background. But the song itself is driven by the vocals instead of the beat in this case. And so, while yes, it does sound super isolated and super bare, it doesn't feel like it's slowing down in terms of the energy. Like you can feel it's still somewhat there, and that it's almost like a fake drop leading into what technically ended up being the post-chorus. So just like if we listen to then you have that like delayed drum fill going into the brassy post-chorus part, and in the first time through they just use it as kind of like a dance break. And then the way they lead it into the second verse is, I've mentioned it a couple times in recent stuff we've watched here, just because it's been a reoccurring thing, but musical silence. This is a very good example of like a partial musical silence. So the transition isn't completely silent because you have Eunji singing and leading into what became the second verse, but it's her isolated on her own. Absolutely nothing in the background in terms of like extra sound effects, percussions, instrumentals, harmonies, stuff like that. It's just Eunji's voice and that's it. Another way of using musical silence by one, it's creating a contrast from like the busy, brassy pre-chorus that we got before, but also it creates that big contrast of suddenly switching the register, completely cutting everything below the vocals out, and it leaves the listener thinking, oh, something's gonna happen, and then of course the second verse kicks in. And let's skip forward to the bridge. I think is the bridge that I want to talk about. No. We'll talk about the second chorus as well. Interesting place to bring in a rap verse. The post-chorus on the second verse. I kind of like it. Because the first time through, it was just a, like, in terms of vocals, it was silent and it was just, like, kind of like a dance break. And they could have done it again the second time. But then it gets kind of boring if you do the same thing again the second time, so they had to change something up second time through, and they added a rap verse into it. Two things. Very interesting place to put it, and also having, like, kind of, you know, almost like grown up around G4 music, it is still so foreign when any of their members rap. And that's nothing against them and their skills. It's just me still kind of living in the past during like G4 era and not being used to it. It's kind of a pleasant surprise though. They kind of float on it. There's like this subtle sassy tone to it. And then you still have that brass section, you still have that percussion. And then it's almost like we don't. It's almost like we don't get a bridge. We kind of do and we kind of don't. Because the bridge is kind of like the lead-in to the final chorus, but it's also part of the final chorus. It's just a different synthesizer like chord progression sequence leading into the final chorus, which is really interesting. Because it doesn't feel like a bridge when you listen to it. It feels like another part of the final chorus. Very interesting writing direction, but the way the synth for the final chorus goes, I love that almost like cowbell sound that's driving the beat in the background instead of having like the big imposing brassy synth hits to drive the beat. You have this really subtle, almost cowbell type beat in the background driving the beat. I think that's a really interesting touch because it's not what you kind of expect the beat to go, considering how the beat gets introduced is with that electronic synth hit, but instead you get the then you get this kind of, you get that old anti-drop beat coming back in the middle, and then we get the rap verse over the brass to finish the song too. Very nice. Lots of sassy energy in this one. I quite enjoyed that. Where do I put this in terms of first listens? I quite liked Love Aid, even though that is an era I kind of tend to forget a little bit. I don't know why, it just doesn't never really stuck in my head all that well. Even though I went and saw them live perform this live in London last August. It still just never really stuck in my head that that era existed. Bop Bop for me was pretty iconic. I mean, this was around the time where Yuju had just debuted. Song got announced for what's the English title for My Chilling Roommate? Chilling Cohabitation, whatever the English title ended up being. VIVIZ had just debuted, and then Yedin was doing some like acting and variety stuff. And it was this really happy time where we finally found out what G-Friend were going to do after their disbandment. And I think that song just like stuck with me because there was a moment where like a lot of us in like the buddy community thought that we weren't going to see them again. And then they dropped Bop Bop, and that entire album was so good. And then I don't know, it just Love Aid didn't stick with me. I like the song. I think it's really cute, and it's a really cute summary song, and the album was pretty good. Just don't know why it never stuck. Maybe something else dropped at the same time, similar to it, that I got obsessed with. I don't actually know. But maybe that won't be hopefully that won't be the case this era, because there's an album, the Various Mini album, which we will be checking out immediately after this. Now, I should put up a disclaimer now. I like doing these album listens, things like that, but with how YouTube Content ID works, there's a high chance that it gets blocked. If so, there will be a video explaining why and where you can find it and whatnot. If it doesn't, and BPM say and YouTube say it's okay, you'll see it on the channel in a little while, so look forward to that. But that's it for me today. Very pleased with how this went. Very pleased with it. And hopefully the rest of the album is equally, if not better than this. Because sometimes albums have hidden B-sides that just, are so good. Tweet Tweet comes to mind from their debut album. I was obsessed with that song. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you did enjoy and want to see more, channel icon is up there. You can find the back catalog stuff watching the past. Drop a subscription if you want to keep up to date with whenever I upload new videos. And if you want to watch another video of mine right away, YouTube recommends you watch that video down there. And until next time, bye-bye.